Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Real Wealth. Today, I'm here with my buddy and my partner, Mikey. We're doing our weekly recap video. How's it going, man?
It's going good, yeah. Another busy week. Like every week pretty much has a bunch of important news going on right now in the markets, and we're definitely paying attention.
Yeah, I'm excited to hop into this with you. Like these videos are great because it kind of keeps us up to speed with things as well. And then when we share it with others, we summarize it for others, it helps to instill it more in us. So I'm excited to do these videos with you. See you're sporting your Los Cabos hat. Excited to partner
Yeah,
on a
I've got
real estate deal with you as well.
uh, nice weather here and everything, and it's nice. I really get to focus on absorbing different content and podcasts and doing all my chart analysis and everything like that. I'm really keeping up with that diligently, and as you know, I was able to catch some trades recently because of that. So it's nice to
Yeah,
share some of that information with everyone.
it's been a good week, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
not bad.
So yeah. So what are we going to talk about today? We got a bunch of things to talk about. So we're going to talk about the Bitcoin ETF. So this has been a topic that's been talked about for a while, and for good reason. This is a major catalyst for the recent Bitcoin increase, as well as where we see it going. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to go over we're just going to do a little bit of a summary of the market, crypto market caps, some stocks that have moved and how those market caps have skyrocketed. Nvidia, Coinbase. Mike is going to share some of the inflation numbers and the impact that had on the market. And we're going to talk about the Coinbase earnings report and how it completely blew away analysts' expectations and what it did to the stock price, and as well as the option price as well, which was awesome. And we're going to talk about some of the big movers and some of the Bitcoin proxies like MicroStrategy and CleanSpark that have moved a ton over the last couple of weeks, which was extra nice. So real quick, just wanted to
Your
hop in.
favorites, eh? Those are your
Oh
favorites.
yeah, I was a holder. Went up a bunch, went down a bunch, and like this, it just has to go up for all the reasons we're going to talk about today. So, quick disclaimer: we're just sharing our insights. This is not financial advice. Take what we share and combine that with other information out there, and you make your own decision. That's exactly what me and Mikey do. We listen to a bunch of podcasts. You don't just listen to one and just go buy based on that. You take it all in and you make up your own decision from there. So let's get going. So I just wanted to start real quick. I just wanted to show you guys kind of the market overview where things are at. So give me a quick second here. Let me load up the browser. So me and Mikey, like, we really love these visuals. So give me a sec. Actually, I don't think I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, it's nice to keep tabs on where things are at and visuals, whether it's a chart or something from an article. It's yeah, and we can use these screeners too.
For sure. All right, bro. Can you see my screen? Mike?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so here's just an awesome visual. So this is a 7-day chart. So I'm just looking at cryptos now. And on the week, Bitcoin as a whole actually was down slightly. And, these last couple of weeks, we've had a major run up. So it's not uncommon for us to have a little bit of a pullback. So red means down, green means up. So if you see some green on here and you own those ones, that you might be smiling a little bit extra. But even still, if I zoom this out, I don't know if we can do 14 days. Looks like we can do the month. Would have been cool if we could do like 14 days. But this will take a little second to refresh. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to show you guys where we're at. So Bitcoin, I know, made it up to maybe 52,000-ish range at one point. Solana was maybe 118-ish. So yeah, again, kind of healthy pullback from there. And here's some other visuals. This is another one that we really like. This is called banter bubbles. So this shows um, just a really quick snapshot of kind of some of the things that have been doing well, and some of the, looks like I've got some filters on here. Actually, I don't have this thing completely set up the way I wanted it to right now, but yeah, these are just a couple tools that me and Mikey use just to kind of see what narratives are in play. For instance, I'm really big into gaming, so you can kind of scroll down here. You could pick AI, you could pick all these things. So I pick like Gamify, and then it would just instantly show me all the top 100 gaming tokens. So Mavia, this is a new game, Heroes of Mavia. This got released recently. Actually, it had a million downloads already on the Apple Store, which is big for the sector. So yeah, so these are just some tools that we use to help us just see different narratives, and you can kind of click through here and switch time frames and various things like that. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little just a little view of that. Now, I wanted to get your take on some stuff here as well, Mikey, around we're going to talk about the Bitcoin ETFs and inflows, and what do you have to say around this? So we've had the ETF around for probably almost a month now, right?
Yeah, it was in around January 10th or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, a little bit more than a month. And leading up to the ETF, and we mentioned this in previous videos, there was a massive run up. Then it went live, and then there was actually a big pullback. And then you heard people, oh, sell the news event. This, Bitcoin's dead. Bitcoin's going to go down to 25,000. We hear all these things, but basically, what the ETF allows for is the big money to come in. And when there's more demand and less supply, it just leads to higher prices. So this chart basically just shows like constant inflows of money coming into Bitcoin, right? Day after day, up, up, up. And now I'm almost certain I heard that it's like 500 million a day that's getting put into these things, and we're just getting started. What do you have to say around this, Mickey?
I mean, it's not really a surprise to me. It's one of those things where when you're working for a financial institution, you can't just blindly throw people's money necessarily into this new Bitcoin ETF. So, you got to call them or sit down with them, go back and forth a little bit, and then every client will decide at a different pace when they went or if they want to invest in the ETFs. And there's 11 to choose from. Like if they only approved one or two, it would actually be easier as a wealthy person to decide which one you want to go in. Now there's like 11. So, how much do they charge and what do
Yeah,
they charge to manage the fund? And you got to kind of like pick which one do I want? Do I want BlackRock? Do I want Fidelity? Which one do I want? And I think that that causes a lag or kind of a spread out buying time where everyone makes their decision at a different time.
yeah,
And some people, as the time goes by, week by week, month by month, you have different events happening. They're going to add more to their position. So it's not just that they bought once, they might buy in
yeah,
chunks
yeah,
rather than saying, I'm going to put it all in right now. Maybe you spread out your intended position over the next 12 months.
right.
And so you could have a wealthy person that's contributing every month for the next year to this.
Yeah,
And, it's kind of one of those things where they're gonna keep like if they released a brand new PlayStation today, not everyone gets the PlayStation on the first day. Some people get it the first day, the sixth day. Some people don't get it for like a half a year. And there's always going to be more and more people buying those PlayStations when it comes out. It's kind of how it works here. And everyone's going to come in at their own pace. And to be honest, right now is not really the greatest or most obvious time to be buying Bitcoin. And what I mean by that is if you go back to like late 2020 and early 2021 during the pandemic, that's when Elon Musk was pumping up Bitcoin and rates were at all-time lows and they're printing money like crazy. None of that's going on right now.
no,
And So, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. You're bullish on Bitcoin. I like the fundamentals, but it's not like everyone in the world's going bananas over cryptos yet. It's not the same environment. So I think there's going to be people jumping in for, holy crap, I didn't get in yet, or I got to add more to my position. That's going to happen. I think that's going to start happening in the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And like you mentioned, there's multiple ETFs you can choose from. There's different considerations. Certain ones charge different fees. I believe BlackRock and maybe Fidelity are probably the cheapest. So there's
Yeah.
like competition around fees because they want more assets under management. So they're trying to encourage more people to go with their funds. So Grayscale kept their fees high because they already had a whole bunch of money locked up. And people are leaving the Grayscale fund and moving into some of the other ones. Now, what I'm super excited about is that there's a little bit of a lag here. Like just because they said that the ETFs are now live doesn't mean all the financial the fund managers, they're not just instantly allocating 10% of their clients' portfolios to this stuff, right? They have to learn the product, they have to learn how to sell it. Some people, as you can see, half a billion dollars a day go into these things. And up until now, they've been buying their Bitcoin on like over-the-counter markets. Well, I read that these over-the-counter supplies are almost empty, which means now they're going to have to go to the open market. And what does that mean? Now there's just going to be even less Bitcoin available. And then you mentioned the Bitcoin halvings coming up, which means there's even less supply going to be issued every day as well. So exponential demand with limited supply, it just seems like a no-brainer. So again, just remember, there's going to be a little bit of a lag time. The fact that we're as far along as we are already, and that the Bitcoin ETF, there's multiple, like Mikey said, I think there's like, what did you say, 11?
11. Yeah.
I think at least 3 or 4 of them are already over like $1 billion under management, which is massive. And those three, I believe, are almost are maybe already like the top ETFs ever of all time. So it's wild stuff. So as the months go on, the fund managers will be more confident in the product that they're selling, and then eventually it sells itself because Bitcoin goes up. More of their clients want more of those gains, so they're going to increase their allocation from maybe 0.1% to 0.2. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that's double. But also 0.2% of how many trillions of dollars are held at these funds, it adds up a lot over time. So in case you're not getting our excitement here, some shit's gonna do well. And we've mentioned this before, a rising tide lifts all boats. So Bitcoin is the top, it's the big guy. They're the big boat. And as that increases, all the little guys underneath increase. But if you're picking the right ones, will increase at higher percentage gains than the big guy because their market caps are smaller.
Another thing to mention too, like just to use my earlier example, like whenever a new PlayStation comes out, they're all in Walmart and you can go buy them at the store, but good luck at getting one because everyone wants a PlayStation. It's a hot commodity. So they line up in the morning before the store opens around the corner and then they're all pre-sold by the time you get there. So, once let's say you pay $500 for the new PlayStation, okay? Well, you can go immediately on eBay or Craigslist and you can probably sell it for $1,000. And, if you can't get it from the store, you now have this desired commodity that you can flip for maybe double the money because the demand is super high, but they
Yeah,
only make so many PlayStations, right? They can only crank out so many.
yeah,
And right now with cryptos, I mean, a statistic from a month or two ago, over 80% of all Bitcoins, no one's selling them. They're holding them,
yes,
they're hoarding them. We're
yeah,
not selling them. You're not getting my Bitcoin. And so you only get, so to speak, the Bitcoin or the PlayStation that's on the shelf at the store. And as Mike just said, there's not that many Bitcoins coming out from these mining companies to meet the demand. The demand way bigger than how many get mined out and produced new to purchase. So you got to buy them from me or Mike or Michael Saylor or someone. But Michael Saylor is not selling any of his Bitcoin. You can't get any from him.
And he owns
And
almost like 1%.
yeah, and I mean like these new ETFs. I remember in January, like right away within like 2 or 3 weeks, they owned 3% of the market. Now we're in February. I bet they own 4% or more of the market now, and
Yeah,
they're selling none of it. So, you'll remember I told you that over 80% people were holding it. Well, now there's an extra 3 or 4% on top of that. They're not selling it.
I know. They
And
just got in.
they just got in. They're holding for like the next bunch of years. So at
Yeah,
some point, you're going to have 85 or 90% of all Bitcoins being held and not sold to you. So that's going to be, like I said, you put that new PlayStation on eBay, you get double the money.
yeah,
Eventually, if I have to sell my Bitcoin or if Mike has to sell his Bitcoin, you better pay us good money. I mean, we're not selling them otherwise.
yeah, that's right. Pay us a premium. Okay, so yeah, so a couple of things there. So you mentioned Michael Saylor. So he runs a company called MicroStrategy. We're going to talk a bit more about that a little later. He's been accruing Bitcoin for years, and I think he's up to 1% of all Bitcoin now, which is substantial for one company to own. This Bitcoin ETF, these ETFs have been around for a little more than a month, and they're already at 3 or 4%. And like we said, like this stuff is just getting started. And me and Mikey, we chatted the other day about how this time is different. The last Bitcoin run up, the last time we were at 50,000, the money that was pushing it up before were people that were going on credit, people, going on margin and like running this thing up. What's running this up now isn't borrowed money. It's the money, it's the big dollars that were sitting on the sidelines just waiting to get into this stuff. So, and those are trillions of dollars. The average investor like us, like before the big money could get in, like we're billions, right? Combined. These guys have multiple trillions, and BlackRock, I don't even know what their market, like this, they're into everything. And when they get into something like this, when they green light something, things just kind of magically, kind of get approved, which will magically, kind of get approved. So,
Well,
uh,
it's almost, I hate to say it, it's almost like insider trading. Like they're going to talk to the government officials and everyone first, and they're going to say, okay, if we get in here now, are we okay?
yeah,
And, there's a joke going around that Nancy Pelosi and her husband are like the Wolf of Wall Street. They're like the best traders in Wall Street because they already know what's going to happen. They already have inside knowledge. BlackRock's in that same camp, and so's Fidelity and all these companies.
yeah,
They're not taking a big risk buying Bitcoin. They are absolutely sure it's going to go up for them in the coming years.
yeah. So follow the money, follow what the big guys are doing, and try to get in before them. And that's what me and Mikey have been doing over the years of like, the big money hasn't been able to get in yet because they didn't have this Bitcoin ETF. They could get in, but most of them didn't because there's a lot of hoops that they had to jump through. So now they're able to get in. Some of them have started to get in, but Mikey says like we're in like inning 2 of this thing. We're just getting going. And I just brought up this is another cool thing to just look at. So Google Trends, right? I just did a quick search for Bitcoin here, right? So these are just people that are starting to hear about Bitcoin more and more over time. They're starting to see more of the Bitcoin ETF commercials, and it's like they're starting to see it more on like news outlets. Oh, Bitcoin up, 30% in a couple weeks. Like, what's this? Like, well, how do we learn about this? So people, what do? They go to Google, they type in Bitcoin. So, and you'll see patterns and you'll see trends over years. So this is just the past 12 months. So like, look at it.
Mike, could you pull up like 2 or 3 years going back to more of the pandemic spike? Maybe 3 years?
Yeah,
5 years, yeah.
it's 5 years. Let's see what comes up here.
So see, like, look how much. Remember, I told you how in late 2020 and early 2021 there was way more attention and hype with Elon Musk and the
Yep.
price was going up nonstop. We're
Yep.
not even there yet. That's still coming.
Right. So compare what Mikey's saying here to this area here, in 2020, like we're like right here.
Yeah.
And we're here. Like Elon Musk, like they're not super vocal about this. You're starting to hear about it more and more. You fast forward way over here and look, like here's the present. Like you see it starting to flicker up. And the more you hear these commercials, the more Bitcoin's going to run. Like we're not too far off of all-time high. All-time high, I think, was like 67-ish.
68,000.
We hit 52,000 like 2 days ago. Like we're not too far off. So the more you hear that, the more these searches will come in here because people will want in on this shit. But look over here, like look at the euphoria in 2020. And what do you think happened to the crypto market right here?
Well, can I chip in here? So right where Mike's going there, I just drew a big red circle there. That's when Bitcoin surpassed its previous all-time high, probably. Like in late 2020, it was 15, 20,000. And in 2018, it peaked around 19,000. So where I just drew that red arrow, that's where we made a new all-time high. You can see that when we're looking at this stuff, that's still coming. And when we go above 68,000, we're going to see a really big spike on searches with Google Trends. We're going to see that.
Yeah, so see, this is where it coincides actually on the Bitcoin chart. So here we are, like at the end of, here's October 2020, right before this massive run up. So when we hear predictions of Bitcoin, $500,000, $1 million, it sounds insane. But look at here, similar things happened before. It was $1,000 here, and then it's 15,000, and then it comes back. So like, let's come back to the 2020 right here, right where Mikey was talking about. It was like $10,000. The Google searches started to pick up. You see in the commercials, you're seeing Elon Musk tweet about it. And all of a sudden it went from $10,000 all the way up to like 62
Quick.
in like, what, 6 months?
Not even, yeah, maybe less.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of money. Yeah, February. Look at February. It went from
And
October to February.
if you look at this here too, that's right around the all-time high where it broke out here. And that's when people started searching for it like crazy because people don't have enough confidence, generally speaking, to predict in advance that something's going to go up to a new all-time high. We do, and obviously BlackRock does. But what happens is when it becomes super obvious and it's like, wow, it's already over 20,000. Look how much it went up after. It just
Yeah.
spiked up to 62 after, because once it's at a new all-time high, it becomes obvious in the
Yeah.
opinion of the general public.
Yeah. And we're gonna be doing these videos more frequently. We're definitely gonna do these weekly recaps, obviously every week. But throughout the week, we're gonna share. We're gonna go through Q&As. We're gonna, Mikey's gonna share more of his technical analysis. Like why are we so confident that it's gonna go up? Right? There's certain catalysts that line up that make us have conviction, that allow us to hold our positions even though things go down 20%. Like,
Yeah.
in past cycles, I'm like, oh shit, bro, like this hurts. Like, I'm gonna get out for a bit. And you get out for a bit, and then you lose the 50% gain up. So if you like this content, definitely give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a share. We really appreciate it. The more you do that, the more it kind of helps with the algorithm, the more it helps people get this content. So
One other thing too, Mike, like I'm gonna draw over here with a red X there. Okay, so this is like early 2017. That's when we had a Bitcoin halving, and that's when we had a Bitcoin bull run. Look how
yeah,
much it went up after that Bitcoin halving cycle. Okay, now let's go to 2020. Move your cursor a little bit.
2,800.
So then the next Bitcoin halving cycle happened somewhere around here. Look how much it went up. So after each cycle, it goes up a lot. Okay. We haven't even had the Bitcoin halving cycle yet. Like that, maybe we'll be at 60 or 70K, and then we'll have the halving cycle. I think this is going to go to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And
So
for
just
someone that thinks that
from
sounds crazy,
yeah.
it's really not that crazy because look how much it went up each of the other times when the demand was higher, but the supply was lower.
Yeah, and the next halving cycle is happening soon. I think it's less than 60 days away. So in past cycles, it usually runs up some into it, and then it continues to run up after the halving. So the halving just means that there's less Bitcoin issued every day. So I think currently there's 900 Bitcoin issued every day with this massive supply demand of all these ETFs getting in, right? Not much supply. Now the supply is getting cut from 900 to 450, and what's going to happen to the demand's even going to go more as more
Gonna
people
go higher.
So insane demand, not a lot of supply, not a lot of people selling. What do you think happens?
And I'll be honest with you too, like this is a more aggressive move before the halving cycle than previous times. Like, in 2020 we had a pandemic, people weren't rushing into Bitcoin. In 2017, people didn't even know what the heck Bitcoin was. Now, not only do the general public know that there's Bitcoin and know that there's a halving event coming, they know that they're competing with BlackRock. So the price is getting bid up now because there's more money coming into the system. And you
Big
could
money.
see it. Like this run up that's starting right now is almost at an all-time high already. That's not normal. We're going to see a crazy run here.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not just me and Mikey and like us degens that are buying. Like that's a lot of what kind of fueled more of this. Now it goes from the billions coming into it to trillions, multiple trillions, which is massive. So let's just hop real quick into just some market caps of various things. So if you see here, so this is Bitcoin. Look at this. We passed 1 trillion. It's hard to keep track of all these freaking commas. That's $1 trillion market cap now. So this has passed like multiple things on like when you relate it to companies or gold, like the gold ETF. I wish I had a chart up. I'm sure you probably saw it though, Mikey. Like people invested in the gold ETF, they're selling out of that, and it's just completely red over the last couple of weeks because now they're taking it out of that and they're putting it into the Bitcoin ETF. So
For sure.
that's the market cap of Bitcoin. And here's where we are market cap of all of crypto. So $2 trillion. So this means that Bitcoin accounts for at least half of the whole crypto market. So this is all the coins added up are 2 trillion. So when you hear people, they're like, oh, Bitcoin's fake, it's a scam, it's a fraud. It's been around for a while. It's over $1 trillion asset. I don't think it's going away. Now it's gotten the stamp of approval from the government, which took a very, very long time to do. Thanks to, now like BlackRock and the big guys are like, no, we want some of this. So when they say they want something, they kind of, I'm guessing they do a little nudge or maybe a big nudge to,
They don't lose.
no, no. So yeah, so market caps have gone up a ton. I'm going to stop sharing here, Mike, if you wanted to share your screen. I just want to talk a little bit about some inflation numbers. So these are some things that influence the market. So every so often, the governments and the higher ups, like they release numbers, job numbers, all these things, FOMC meeting. And so inflation numbers impact interest rates and various things. So I'll let you hop on if you wanted to share your screen. Give me a sec. Let me just make sure you can easily do that. Yeah, let's talk about the inflation numbers. What's it mean? And what was the market reaction? So these got released a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So what do you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, well, just touching on what you just said there, like, with Bitcoin, like you said, it's probably not going anywhere, but I talked to someone yesterday that told me Bitcoin's stupid. And I mean, you still run into people that just, they don't understand it really yet.
The
And
internet
I
used
thought,
to be stupid too, right?
I thought it was stupid in 2017. I'm like, I'm going to put a little money in, but I think it's stupid. And I'm going to take my money out right away because I think it's stupid. And that's what a lot of people say to themselves. But like, I don't know, like I always talk about this. Like some people think owning a rookie card is stupid, but I have a Connor McDavid rookie card that went from $50 to like $1,500. And maybe you might think it's stupid, but I don't care. It's worth more
I
money.
know it.
And as long as he keeps performing, it doesn't matter what you think. And so that's the same way it works with Bitcoin. And the other thing that's unique too is that like if you sell Peloton bicycles, right now Peloton's not doing that great. But in the pandemic, when you're stuck at home, they sold a lot of bicycles.
Yeah. So these
And
are narratives.
so, yeah, so like even if inflation is high and even if they're printing money, Peloton still drops because you got to sell the damn bikes.
Yeah.
But with Bitcoin and with, even like the rookie card or your real estate or a bar of gold, if the inflation goes up, so does the bar of gold and so does the Bitcoin and everything because they don't have to make earnings, right? They don't have to sell a certain number of bars. It's gold. It's just gold or it's just Bitcoin. And it's gonna go up in value and it's not gonna depreciate. Even a PlayStation, if you bought the new PlayStation like 2, 3 years ago, now it's old technology. Bitcoin's always the same, gold's always the same. So you can call it stupid, but it's really a consistent asset that will go up if they keep depreciating the dollar and causing inflation. And we know they will do that forever, basically. So if you
Yeah.
believe that stocks go up over time and real estate and gold goes up over time, it's really the same principle. And I'm just going to share the screen here. Um, so Mike mentioned something that was pretty important to happen this week. They announced that inflation was actually ticking upwards again. And you'll see here, inflation report was hotter than expected in January, 3.1%. Now, some of you might be saying, wow, 3.1%, that's not bad. It was 9%. And I agree. But if you think about it, it's kind of like, if you're fighting a fire and you're spraying the hose with all kinds of water on it, and all of a sudden you're spraying water on it and the fire's getting bigger, it's like, well, what happened if I stop spraying water on it? The fire is going to get huge now. It's like I'm spraying water on it and it's still getting bigger. They're trying to spray water all over the inflation fire right now and it's still going up. So could you imagine if they lowered interest rates right now? Inflation would go up to 4, 5, 6% because interest rates are the fire hose that keeps inflation lower artificially right now. But we could see inflation go higher if they lower rates all of a sudden. So they're not lowering rates because they're seeing that inflation is still rising even with the rates high. So, it's a really tricky thing. And I think that a lot of sophisticated investors, they know that whenever they do lower those interest rates, inflation is probably going to go higher again. I mean, I don't know if it'll go to 9%, but it's going to go higher. And it's kind of one of those interesting things that we have to keep tabs on there. So when we're looking at this, we want to make sure that we're saying, well, what's going on with the actual market? So again, we see other indications, wholesale prices rising more than expected. So the prices of different types of goods and services are going up as well. And as you know, a lot of different places are asking for raises through their unions for their workers. And, although that I agree, we all need to make more money to keep up with the new cost of living. What happens if people at Walmart or a car production plant get paid more? The company's not just going to take that hit. They're going to just raise the prices of their products. So
Yeah.
it's a cat and mouse game. And, ironically, Mike's saying, well, what happened? We hit a new record high anyways. So like all this crap's happening and you're saying, well, inflation's going up. That sounds bad. Well, does it if you're an investor? I mean, if inflation's going up, you have to give more of your crappy, less valuable dollars to buy the same damn stocks. So it's like counterintuitive. You think like inflation's going up, that's bad, but it's actually good for the stock market because you have to give more of these crappy dollars up to buy the same darn stock. So when you go look at the chart here, you'll notice that it's actually been going up. And, overall, I know it looks like a zigzag, but the overall trend here is just up. And when you look at it as just one movement there, you can see it's just going up. It's zigzagging along the way, but it's just zigzagging up,
Yeah. And
right?
what's the time frame of this chart? Is this like a three?
This is
What's
going
the
back to about
chart?
where is this here? This is going back to December. This is only like 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay. And now I'm going to zoom out and show you. I have chart analysis already on the screen here. And this is something I posted to my Invest Like Mike group. So here you see the bear trend. Okay. And what that means is this is when they started raising interest rates around March or April of 2022. Well, look how much it went down. Like it went down consistently. And I always talk about my 5 waves. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the interest rate hike bear trend. And now I've been using chart analysis consistently and posting it to people publicly. Look over here, right? You have wave one over here, and we're all the way in wave five over here. And you might say, Mike, that makes it sound too easy or too obvious. Not really. Like, most people can't pick out these things on the chart that well. I'm pretty good at doing it, but I sucked at it when I started. When I'm doing this stuff, Mike, you might remember this, but way back in 2022, 2023, I pointed out that this was already wave five here. And when this started breaking out again, I said, well, if economic indicators get better and everything holds together, this is wave one, this is wave two.
Yeah,
And I'm able to predict, we're in wave three now and we're riding that up. And then even more recently with wave four, I'm saying, well, this is a buying opportunity and
yeah,
we're going to get wave five. And then we did.
yeah.
And I try to do a lot of that, and it's not easy to do, but I've become pretty good at it and pretty consistent with it. And you could just see it plain as day on the chart when I draw it for you. So isn't
Yeah,
that
you
cool, Mike?
make it look so obvious. So we're at like we're at that top of that arrow over there. This is all-time high ever of the stock market
It's
ever.
over 5,000 for the first time ever.
Yeah. So Mikey's showing all these things. There's no guarantees these things happen, but we get to use the past to help to predict the future. And the more of these indicators that line up, and the more of the things that are happening in macro, like it just accrues. So it increases the chances. So maybe one of those indicators, it's more likely that it'll go up 60%. And then when he draws in other trend lines and all these Elliott waves and all these fancy lines and arrows, it just increases the chances. So these are the things that help us determine when to get in and when to get out and when to take profits and all of those things. So
It's
um,
kind of like if I worked at a hospital and I was a heart specialist or a cardiologist, you might take an EKG of someone's, it's like a chart, right? Showing the spikes and the drops in your heart rate. And when you do that, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to have a heart attack, but you can say, hey, you might want to slow
yeah,
down or eat healthier because it looks like you might have a heart attack. You can use those visuals in stocks.
yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to share a couple other things around market caps as well. So NVIDIA, and Mikey and I have been watching this for a while. We watch it because there is massive demand. Unless you're living under a rock, AI is kind of here and it's been here for a bit. And in order for AI to work well, it needs processing power, and that comes from chips. These GPUs, I think they're called, and
Yeah.
NVIDIA is the biggest manufacturer of these. So all of these companies are trying to play catch up now and be the best AI because they want people to use their learning language model. So, which has created a supply shock for these chips, and layer in supply chain issues, and like it just increases demand. So NVIDIA has like shot up a ton in market cap, and it's one of the top companies now in market cap. Like it shot right past ExxonMobil. Let me see, I'll show you this one here too. So, and this isn't like super current, not like as of today, but here's kind of a snapshot. And I know Microsoft has passed Apple, and I know there's another chart here that puts cryptos on here as well. I saw it was a really cool one because Warren Buffett, the old guard, that they don't like crypto because they don't fully understand it. Just because they're great investors in the past, it doesn't fully mean that they're adopting new things. And he's awesome. He's made a shitload of money for everybody. But Berkshire Hathaway is this. Uh, like I said earlier, Bitcoin is over $1 billion. If it was a company, it would be right here, in between 6 and 7.
Yes.
Nvidia's even higher than this now. It's absolutely insane. So I just kind of wanted to put that in perspective a little bit and show you stocks and cryptos. And
One thing too, Mike, like if you combine all cryptos, it's over 2 trillion. It would be
yeah,
like number three on the list.
yeah, like above Google. And how long has
Yeah.
Google been around for? So when people say, oh, this is fake, this is phony, you know, I just want to remind you, like, people used to say similar things about the internet. Like, I know, you know, Bill Gates has this famous video way back in the day of like, you know, this, what is this thing like? And then they adopt it. They wake up, just like Microsoft ended up buying into, I think, OpenAI, and that's AI, you know, that helped catapult it above Apple. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys that. So I want to hop into and on your end, Mikey, if you want to bring up some charts on MicroStrategy and CleanSpark, I'm just going to stop sharing here. So when I say Bitcoin proxies, it means these are the stock versions of how you can capitalize on gains in Bitcoin. And these used to be the only way people could get into a Bitcoin play without actually having to buy Bitcoin. Now the ETFs are there and they can just buy the ETFs. But these ones, I actually own both of these, and I have a pretty substantial position in both of them. And I held it in that first, see the wave on the left that Mikey has there? And then I rode that down. And instead of selling on the way down, like I was actually buying into that selling pressure. And I'm extra happy now because
I bet.
you know, all of this technical analysis and the fundamentals, like it just has to come back because there's the demand for Bitcoin. And when there's demand for Bitcoin, CleanSpark, these are the miners that actually help transactions go through. And when
This
they
is the
help them go
biggest,
through, they get paid.
it's actually the largest Bitcoin miner in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, it's funny on my chart, like again, you're gonna see like, holy crap, like Mikey keeps finding these patterns. But
It's
again,
genius.
there's your bear trend from the 2022 rate hikes. And is
Yeah,
when that ended, just like on the previous chart I just showed you, it's look at the five waves, one, two, three, four. And
yeah,
recently, as you know, Mike, I was telling you wave five's coming. So then Mike bought more, not just because of me, but like, you know, when he sees this, he likes that on top of all the other stuff he's
yeah,
following.
yeah,
And if you're bullish on Bitcoin, why wouldn't you buy the biggest miner of Bitcoin? And then, oh, look, Mikey's saying we're going in the wave five. This all makes sense. And now look, we
yeah.
got wave five.
And in the bottom, you can see the volume as well. It's not just like
Huge,
low volume. It's you see how the volumes accelerate on the right. And
huge
like Mikey
volume,
said,
right?
the more you do this stuff, the more you notice it. So like I'm starting to notice. I notice these now. So I'm like, Mikey, look, looks like we're in wave three. And he's like, yeah. And then he'll come in and draw some more of his fancy art on these charts, and it's great. So
And
yeah,
again, it's not easy to do. Like that's one of the benefits if you're in my group or if you're following along with us here. This is not easy to dissect the chart. I've trained a lot of people. Everyone sucks at this when you start. I sucked at this like 10 or 15 years ago. But now I'm very good at it. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in the world that are experts at this that are better than me. But I'm really good at this. And even in January, if you were following my group and Mike was, how many damn charts did I post where I say we're in wave four, we're in wave four, we're in wave four, and I go wave five's coming. Now we're in February. Look at all the wave fives.
yeah,
And
and look at that.
how,
Like, do draw from the bottom of that upswing down by like $7-ish all the way up to 1776, and let's
well,
trace
I'll show you
the
the
gain.
percentage return here
Yeah, look at that.
is like a 200%.
Yeah, so if you were fortunate enough to buy at the bottom and still hold at the top, and that's in like less than a month, I think. So it went from like 640 to I don't know, it looks like $19.
It went up $12.84 from around $6, and now it's, you know, almost 18. It went up towards 19.
Yeah. Yeah. So in future videos, we'll share more about, you know, okay, well, does that mean we sell? Where should we have sold? Do you dollar cost average in? Do you dollar cost average out? Are we going higher? So again, like I mentioned this before, like be sure if you're liking this content, make sure that you like, obviously subscribe. When you subscribe, you know, you'll get notified of future videos. We're going to be hopping on here a lot more often. But this is gold. Like every time I'm on here with Mikey, I learn more around the all this technical stuff. And then when you combine that with, you know, fundamentals and some of the deeper research around other things, like it just increases your chances of success. It increases your chances of buying CleanSpark at like 650 and riding it up to like 19. right? Like,
And now this is MicroStrategy. It did the exact same thing as CleanSpark. So Mike was talking about how when Bitcoin goes up, there's these other things that, they're associated with the Bitcoin market because MicroStrategy with Michael Saylor, they don't do anything other than they hold a bunch of Bitcoin. Like it'd be like someone putting a bunch of gold bars in a vault at the bank. All they do is they own Bitcoin. So if the price of Bitcoin goes up, the price of MicroStrategy goes up.
yeah,
And so this thing went up a lot. I mean, let's go check out the percentage
but
move
went
there.
up. And again, so with cryptos and this type of investing, you have to understand that there's more extreme swings. It can go up 70%, it can come down 50, it can go up 200%, it can come down 60. It just this, and it depends on what you're invested in. Like some of the big caps don't move as crazy, but as you can see here, like the shit can still move. Like look at those crazy ups and downs.
Now, one thing to point out though, like, this is a big move, 82% in 3 weeks or whatever, 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
But CleanSpark went up 200%. So it actually outperformed MicroStrategy by more than double.
yeah.
And, I think that part of it is that if you're thinking of Bitcoin, maybe you buy the darn people that are mining and producing the Bitcoin, and that's exciting to people. So,
Yeah,
they all move in different ways, but at the end of the day, these all went up with the
yeah.
price of Bitcoin. And
And
I should point out,
it doesn't have to be one or the other. Maybe you do a
yes,
little bit of both.
exactly. And I'm sure there's people watching this saying, holy crap, like these things went up more than Bitcoin did. And you know what? You're not wrong. Like if you look at Bitcoin here, look how much they went up recently. Let's measure that. It's not 200%. Um, Bitcoin only went up like 38%.
Yeah.
And MicroStrategy went up over 80, CleanSpark went up 200%. You made way more money on those than you did on Bitcoin. And why is that, Mike? Because of the ease of access, I think, too. Like you can just go buy CleanSpark like a regular stock. If you want to buy your own Bitcoin that you personally hold, you got to open up an account with a weird website you don't trust. And what the heck is BitBuy? Or like you don't even know these
Crazy.
names. You
Yeah.
might trust JP Morgan, but you don't trust these random crypto sites. So you just buy MicroStrategy or you buy CleanSpark because you trust the stock exchanges. That's the big difference.
Yeah, and another thing here is I know you did really well with options. So with
Yes.
stocks, you're able to, these are for advanced traders. And I know Mikey's been doing this for a bit and he's done really, really well on this is a nice segue into the next one. So I know
Yeah.
you've played MicroStrategy with options. Let's pop into the Coinbase chart now. So they recently had some earnings and the analysts were just a little bit off in their
A little bit.
predictions.
It's like a little
Yeah.
bit.
So share a little bit about that.
So, I was playing MicroStrategy all through this big wave up that you see in black there. And I was,
Yeah.
publicly posting about it in my group, and I caught this move up over here. So I was buying stock options that if the price of MicroStrategy went up, I made money. And this is the Bitcoin chart, but obviously if the Bitcoin chart goes up, so does MicroStrategy. So I was making money during that movement. More recently, I kind of moved away from MicroStrategy just because I saw something on the Coinbase chart. And you'll see that recently, Mike, I've been talking about this like nonstop for 2 days now. I'm so excited about it. But Coinbase
There's
all
my
of a
three.
sudden starts surging after it crushes Wall Street expectation. This was 2 days ago. And this is the gentleman in charge of Coinbase there. And crypto exchange Coinbase transaction revenue doubled from the previous quarter. So not yearly, from one quarter to the next, it doubled. Okay. Now, why is that? Because Bitcoin went up in the last part of 2023. So in the last quarter of 2023, look how much Bitcoin went up. It went up from like 25,000 to almost 50,000. So if the price of Bitcoin doubled, well, that means that, people are buying it through Coinbase a lot of the time. They doubled their revenue. And it's one of those things. Now, the stock market analysts, like I don't know who the hell it like they were predicting 2 cents per share, and they ended up getting $1.04 per share.
This
Like
seems like
they
it
were
almost seems
way
like
off.
it almost seems like it's an error. Like they're how can they be that? I
You know,
don't
I
know.
mean, I don't want to get into like the conspiracy of it, but like, you
Yeah,
know, like here there's an article. Elizabeth Warren is like talking about Bitcoin like it's the devil and only drug dealers use it, and they try to like make it seem like it's a horrible thing. This article came out saying, you know, it's not a predominant medium for for activity of criminals. Elizabeth Warren's been trying to say this is for crooks and criminals and drug dealers. It's not. It's predominantly like Michael Saylor and BlackRock and stuff. Like it's
yeah.
not predominantly a criminal thing. And oh, they're trying to sell us stuff there. So when we're looking at this stuff here, and Coinbase is doubling its revenue, I think what happened was they purposely gave a low rating. So they didn't want investors to buy a bunch of Coinbase. They don't
Right.
want you and me to buy a bunch of Bitcoin. So they pretend that it sucks and it's not going to make much money. And I'm going to show you something here. So I'm going to look up Coinbase. It's ticker coin. And if you go on the bottom on TradingView, you can set it up where they have an earnings report. They beat their earnings report by over 4,600%. Like that's ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah,
So that's not an accident. Okay. Like they know approximately how many iPhones they're going to sell and how many
yeah.
PlayStation. This is like imagine they sold like 10 million PlayStations, but leading up to the release of the PlayStation, they go, oh, we're only going to sell like 10,000 PlayStations. Like you're off by so much. And that doesn't happen when we're
This
talking
isn't the
about
company
PlayStations.
that's estimating these. These are separate analysts.
Yeah, these are just random analysts that have nothing to do. And like, you know, I hate to say this, but if I hand you a bag of cash and say, tell everyone that this stock sucks, you're going to tell everyone that this stock sucks.
Yeah.
And I think that they did that on purpose. You can't just say, well, that analyst had a bad day. That analyst should get fired. They should never analyze anything again because either number one, they suck at their job, or number two, they got bribed
And
into lying.
I don't think it's one analyst, dude. Like usually this is like a consensus. Usually that's
It
kind of
is.
the average. So that's like the network of analysts.
But again, if you have enough money, you can bribe all the analysts or
Yeah.
like threaten them essentially to say,
Yeah.
well, we're not even going to let you analyze more stocks unless you do this. Now,
Yeah.
again, I don't quote me on that. I can't promise you that
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah. Yeah.
happened. But I mean, holy crap, 4,600%. Like you were off by that much.
So what
You
did that
either suck.
do? What did that do to your, well, I own coin stock. Uh, you were into the options, and options, if you're in the right options, you can do very, very well in relation to, kind of the stock game.
Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of some of my lines here. But again, what do we see on the chart again here, Mike? I'm very consistent with this.
Oh, we're seeing some waves. I see wave five. We're in it.
Right? So like there's your bear trend
Oh,
from the rate hikes. And when people got past all the rate hikes, I started drawing on the chart. And even way back in the summer of last year, I go, I think this is
yeah,
wave one. Then I pointed out wave two, you have
yeah,
wave three. And recently in January, remember I pointed out in January, I was posting all kinds of charts for Coinbase and Bitcoin and Arbitrum and all these different things and MicroStrategy. And I said, we're in wave four, and I think wave five's coming. Well, here's wave five.
yeah,
And again, you don't kid yourself. It's not necessarily easy that anyone can do this, but I'm very good and very consistent at doing this. And that's one of the benefits if you follow along with us is that, you know, we were doing videos back in January, Mike, and I told people in our videos, we're in wave four and wave five's coming. Look what happened, you
yeah,
know? And so here's what I did. Okay. Mike was asking, you know, what happened to your position? I got into Coinbase right here. Okay. Right here. And the
bridge.
price was still around 140. Okay. Now you might say, well, Mike, how do you know it was going to go up? Well, the reason why I bought it was because other charts like MicroStrategy, they were already way up here and Coinbase was still all the way down here. So I said, for whatever reason, people bought CleanSpark and they bought MicroStrategy and stuff, and we're still over here. And MicroStrategy was all the way the equivalent of up here. And I said to myself, well, this is the largest seller of Bitcoin in the world. Everyone knows what Coinbase is. It's like the McDonald's of crypto exchanges. And I said to myself, I know we're going to have wave 5 coming because I know my charts. I know this is the number one seller of cryptos in the world. I said, people are going to just rotate their money from MicroStrategy and other stuff into Coinbase. And then they did. And, to answer Mike's question, what happened when the earnings were released? Well, when the earnings were released, it jumped up all the way to here from all the way down here. So it was in the 160s and it jumped to about 190 in one day.
So that's
Okay.
probably 25-ish%.
25, 30% it jumped up in one day because
Yeah.
again, these silly analysts pretended they wasn't going to make much money. Like
Yeah.
if I go here, right, it jumped up about 20% right there, just in that one shot there. Okay.
Yeah.
And, I don't know about you, Mike, but I think this is going to go a lot higher. Like, I'm going to zoom out.
That's
Okay.
good.
I was showing this to a buddy of mine who's actually like a money manager professionally. And he said, how high do you think it's going to go, Mike? And I said, well, I go, here's the previous all-time high. It's like $430. Right now, they just doubled their revenue. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to go all the way to 400 right now, but if you look on my chart, there's different resistance levels in place. I think we're going to be going up higher into this blank space here,
Yeah.
and we're going to go somewhere in the mid 200s right now. I think in the next like month or two, we're
Yeah.
going to see this go up into the mid 200s, and then maybe it'll dip again and then go up later.
Yeah. So
And
these are all hints where it could go. So what Mikey's
yeah,
saying is if we scroll back to way back at the beginning of the chart over here, was 429. That was its all-time high. If we think Bitcoin is going to get back to its all-time high, and we think Bitcoin is going to far exceed that all-time high, why wouldn't some of these other things do something similar? So I was thankful enough to get in at the beginning of wave 3. I got my first bundle there, and I'm sending to Mikey. I'm like, dude, like I got in here, and like this thing just keeps ripping. And then it pulled back a bunch. It more than doubled from where I got in, and then it pulled back. I bought a little. I doubled my position on that pullback because a lot of these indicators point to the fact that this can continue to run, and it'll run further. So
and
I
I'll point
appreciate you
something
sharing.
else
I
out
know, I
too.
know Mikey got into like the options on this one, so he did even better.
Like a lot of the times too, I can draw lines on the chart like I did right here. And when it pops out like this,
Yep.
I'm aware that it just tried to pop out. And then I'll draw another line and I'll say, if it pops out again, it's going to run. And you
Yep.
could see that then it did run. So, I mean, that's literally the process I go through in my mind. Mike sees me do it all the time.
Yep.
And
So that's
um,
confirmation of the breakout. So if
yeah,
you're on that chart and you see that it breaks that, you're like, well, it broke it. Why wouldn't you just get in there? Because sometimes it reverts back, and it'll revert back into the bear trend. Whereas when it breaks down and then it tests some resistance again, and then it breaks that resistance, then it's more likely to continue. There's no guarantees, but it's more likely to run. So it's really cool to see the things that we've been learning over the years from, various experts and various things. And, we're going to close out in a second here, but I just want to remind you guys, like, we've been at this for a bit. Find someone that you trust. Don't go trade based on our recommendations, other people's recommendations. Like, take it. And this is what me and Mikey did. Like, we'll follow like a new person, a new podcast, and then they came as a recommendation from someone else. Like, you might be listening to this because someone mentioned us to someone else. Then what you do is you follow along a bit, and then you just paper trade. Paper trading is basically you take some of the things that we mentioned. Mikey mentioned Coinbase. We talked about Nvidia. We talked about Bitcoin. Like, we didn't even talk about Solana and all these other like coins that we're in that are doing even that much better. These are all ideas that we're going to have for future videos. But yeah, so that's just kind of follow along. Definitely, give the like, give the subscribe. If you got some value out of this, definitely share it with your friends. Yeah, we're on a mission. This is real wealth, and wealth is money, but it's so much more than money. You know, take that money and go do good with it. Go have fun, like go travel, whatever it is for you. Go donate somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah, and
anything.
just a couple other things to mention here. I'll just share the screen once more here.
Yeah,
Mike was just saying, don't just rely on us, right? This is a quote from Ray Dalio. Use tools to collect data and process it into conclusions and actions. And you could see that that's what we're doing. We're using news events, trends. I'm using chart analysis. We're studying people like Ray Dalio as
and
well. I mean, I've got,
community sentiment as well, right? Community
yeah.
sentiment.
Exactly. So, like I said, I've got the Ray Dalio book here. I mean, like this is about tracking market cycles and chart analysis and a bunch of stuff on a long-term view. And so you're collecting data from people like Ray Dalio. Maybe you listen to us. And Mike mentioned as well, we started our YouTube channel officially recently, Real Wealth. And it's not all just about making money, right? Live life well. What does that mean, right? It means that it's not just all about money. Like, I mean, you can enjoy your lifestyle, you can enjoy some more personal freedom, spend more time with your family, you can do whatever you want. It's not all about just buying money to get Ferraris and stuff. I mean, that's not even like the way we're living our lives, actually. Like, we're enjoying experiences and other things.
Yeah.
And feel free to go to YouTube. You can look up at Real Wealth Now, and we're going to be posting regular content. I mean, this video is going to go on our Real Wealth YouTube channel at Real Wealth Now on YouTube. Go follow it, go subscribe. And we're going to do long form videos. We're going to do shorter videos, and we're going to keep you in touch with what we're doing.
Yeah, and definitely, put your comments in the comment section down there. If you have any questions with things, we're going to have a Q&A segment as well, some community chats, just to just help answer questions, help onboard more people. Yeah, just let us know what you want to see more of, and we'll do more videos. So good to see you, Mikey. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate everyone tuning in. That's all for today. Have a good one, everyone. Live life well. Bye-bye.